Go figure. Okay, so this is my very first time documenting kind of anything. I am Kate, and I am wanting to become a contestant on The Amazing Race eventually. I used to watch The Amazing Race when I was a kid with my family. We would watch it every week, like gather together as a family to watch, and it was just the best thing ever. And I recently rediscovered it with my Paramount Plus subscription. And I realized while I was watching it that I wanted to be moving. I wanted to be doing what these people were doing. And so I watched the most recent season, which was season 35. And as I was watching, I realized the music is very energetic and it made me want to get up and move. And I was just so excited about that. And as I was watching, I said, I want to be on The Amazing Race, but I am out of shape. And I have never been anywhere. Like, I've never been outside of the United States. I've never even seen the Atlantic Ocean. Like, I'm from here in the Pacific Northwest, and I've never really been anywhere. And so I decided that I want to be the kind of person that I want to be a contestant on The Amazing Race. But in order for that to happen, I need to be in shape. And I feel like I need to know more about the world. And so to accomplish both of those things, I've decided to do my own Amazing Race. So this is Kate's Amazing Race, where I'm going to watch episodes of The Amazing Race and exercise during those episodes. Now, be aware, I don't exercise very often at all. It's not something that I really go out of my way to do. I don't have an extremely active lifestyle, and I would like to, but I'd like to be the kind of person that can climb the thousands of steps to get to so-and-so, or be able to, carry a giant backpack and be running in this race. And so I've decided that I am going to watch The Amazing Race. And while I'm watching that 1 hour long episode, plus all the commercial breaks, I'm going to be exercising. So today was my second day doing this. Yesterday, I watched season 1, episode 1. So the very first episode ever of The Amazing Race, 11 teams. And right away, I was like, you could tell who you were rooting for and kind of who you weren't. Like that couple where the husband was just like screaming in his wife's face, or I guess they're separated. And now I can kind of see why, where he was like screaming in her face and like pushing her around and yelling at her. I'm like, that's not the way to encourage somebody to get better. So not cheering for her or for them as much. I'm cheering for them to like get nicer, but not necessarily for them to win unless they get nicer. And then, you can kind of just gauge how people are. But I watched that last episode where they started in New York. And it was so interesting because that episode aired the week before 9/11 in New York City, where they started. And so it blew my mind that they did not even realize that this was airing in New York a week before 9/11. It was just really eye-opening. Anyway, so they started in New York City, and they had to fly to South Africa. So I've got my little globe here, and they started right over here in New York and went and flew all the way. Oh, that's the wrong way. Flew all the way down here to South Africa. And that was yesterday's episode. And I love that. So episode 2, after the first group has been eliminated, they went up to Zambia. And in Zambia, they were staying in this tiny little village. And it was so cool, this tiny little village. And their first task was to find a museum of this particular town's museum, or not town, village, tiny village museum. And they went looking everywhere and driving hours trying to find this museum when really it was just a random little hut inside the village. So that's lesson number 1 for me is read the clue extremely carefully and kind of read between the lines, because in the clue it said, now that you know the village really well, find the museum. And it was like, that seems like but sometimes when you're in the race, you're just wanting to go, and these people were just wanting to run. They weren't stopping and reading the clue really carefully. So that was number 1. Eventually they went all the way from Zambia up to we're up here to Paris. Where's Paris? There we go. Up to Paris, France. And on that trip, they were totally butting heads, especially, I don't know how different seasons will go. But like I said, I saw the 35th season, and buying tickets was interesting. So this very first season, they had to like find their own flights to get to where they need to go. And they were like jumping on top of each other and being mean and pushy. And they're like, this is a race. And they were so mean. I was like, you can still be nice. Like you can be in a race and still be nice, right? Competitive is not the same as like mean. So I that's another lesson I've learned. Like, let's be nice on the race. um, and then when they got there, again, it was another thing where you had to read the clue really carefully to get lots of details. So I'm just going to be really good about that. But it was cool. They went to the Arc de Triomphe. Arc de Triomphe. First, they went to the Eiffel Tower, which like everybody knows that. But then they went to the Arc de Triomphe, which is a monument. I didn't know that. I'd seen pictures of it, but I didn't know what it was. So the Arc de Triomphe was the next pit stop. So now I know this new place. And I've also learned like maybe you should learn some words in French. So like it would be good to know how to say like thank you, merci, or how to say help, which is I think aide. It's like aid me, aid. So I think that's how you say help in French. Because there were a lot of people that were like trying to get attention. Granted, a lot of people speak English now, but still, I realized if I'm going to do this amazing race, it would be good for me to have like a list of the 15 words in each major language that I might need to know, like in French, Spanish, English, maybe Latin or Greek, so that I can like, everybody at least has that basic Latin or Greek root. Anyway. So as far as the workout went, though, it felt really, really good. So the way I did my workout is Paramount Plus has these little like 2-minute, it's like 120 seconds. So little 2-minute windows of commercials. And I decided to use those as strength training or as abs or as push-ups or whatever. So I started out by getting my body warm because there was about 5 minutes of the show. So I kind of got my body warm by walking and just moving. I was actually really, really cold before starting. Like I was shivering before starting. And so I just started out like walking and moving around back and forth. And then I'm not using any kind of workout equipment. I'm just doing whatever my body feels like doing. So I would walk in place and then I'd start kind of sidestepping, and then I'd step 2 times to the sides, and then I'd do some knee ups. And but the music of the show is very repetitive and very pounding, and so it just the tempo of it keeps it moving and makes you want to work out. So about 5 minutes of that, and then I got to my first commercial break. So first commercial break, did some stretches, about 2 minutes of just nice good stretches on whatever was comfortable, and then back to the show. So while the show is going, I'm just paying attention to the show and moving my body. So I was doing like leg lifts, and I was doing like these kind of, I don't know if you can see, like just kind of moving my arms, moving my legs, and it was, just whatever felt comfortable. I had to keep moving during the whole show. And then I get to the next episode or the next commercial break. And the next commercial break was crunches. So I did crunches for the full 2 minutes. Ouch. So good though. I differed up the crunches. I did some bicycles and some leg lifts, anything I could do to get to keep those abs really hot. Then after those 2 minutes, thank you, I got up and I was just walking again. So you're moving for like 10 minutes at a time, and just keeping that heart rate going. Remember, if you raise your arms above your head, your heart rate goes up. So I would be like moving and raising my arms up and doing stuff, and that was keeping my heart rate up. And then the next commercial break, I did push-ups. So I did 20 push-ups, and in 2 minutes, like you can either try to punch out all 20 push-ups at once, or I did like 10 and then a break and then 10, or even if you can only do like 2 push-ups and then a break, 2 push-ups. With 2 minutes, you've got time to like get through those push-ups. So I did 20 push-ups, got a drink, came back and was walking again. Next commercial break, I did more crunches and abs. But I've also, like if you have arm weights, yesterday I did arm weights during that third one. So I did like some of these and some like, what are these called? Server tray ones, some ones in the back. I need to find like some really good arm workout things, because I would like to get rid of some of this that's here, So did arm workouts and then moved again. And then for the final commercial break, which was at the end, it was like, stay tuned for our next for scenes from our next episode. And so during that commercial break, I just did stretching and then cool down. So it was an awesome hour. I think it was more than an hour when you consider the commercial breaks. And it was just phenomenal because the music was pounding the whole time. And I was literally watching what my goal was, because my goal is to be on the Amazing Race. My goal is to be in a mental and physical state that I can do the Amazing Race. And so to be exercising while I'm watching it was just extremely motivating. So that's me for today. Let's see what happens tomorrow.